The laughter hit me before the words even sank in. The smell of grilled ribs and smoky charcoal filled the backyard, but it couldn't mask the sting of humiliation. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city. You're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us. What would you do in this situation? Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. Gerald Carter, my father, raised, his beer bottle like a toast, his voice sharp and booming so everyone heard. Everyone here is a success except you, he said, eyes locked on me. My daughter, the disappointment of this family. Chairs creaked as relatives leaned forward, eager for the show. My cousin Amanda snorted into her cup, covering her, mouth like it would hide the smirk. Uncle Franklin shook his head with mock pity. And my sister Madison? She laughed the loudest, her diamond bracelet glinting under the patio lights as she clapped her hands like she'd just heard the best joke of the night. Even my brother Lucas, who usually stayed quiet, muttered, "He's not wrong." The table roared. Every chuckle scraped against my skin, every smile carved deeper into my chest. I gripped my paper plate so hard it bent in my hand. Ethan, my husband, sat stiff beside me, his jaw clenched, one hand brushing against mine under the table. His silent message was clear. Don't let them see you break. Dad wasn't finished. Look around, Haley. He gestured toward the long tables lined with relatives. Amanda just got promoted to regional manager. Lucas built his own business. Madison's married into money. And you? What do you have to show us? My pulse pounded in my ears. I stood, my chair scraping harshly against the concrete. The laughter paused for just a moment, long enough for silence to fall heavy across the yard. I steadied my voice, though my throat burned. Thank you, Dad, I said. Thank you for reminding me exactly where I stand. Gerald leaned back, satisfied. That's all you've got? No fight? No defense? Figures. My untouched food slid off the plate and hit the grass as I set it down. My hands trembled, not from weakness, but from the weight of a decision forming inside me. Ethan rose beside me, his presence steady, unshaken. We're leaving, he said firmly, his eyes darting across the family with disgust. Whispers broke out instantly. There she goes again, running away. She can't handle the truth. Pathetic. I didn't turn back. Not once. But something in me had changed. As we walked through the gate, Ethan leaned close, his voice low, steady, promising. Tomorrow, Haley, they'll see who the real disappointment is. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of shame, because of anticipation. The weight in my chest was no longer humiliation. It was fire. Tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow, the gate they mocked me through would be the gate I'd return to, but not the way they expected. Morning light streamed through the blinds, sharp and unrelenting. I hadn't closed my eyes once. Every laugh, every smirk from the night, before replayed in my head like a cruel movie. But now, instead of shame, I felt only clarity. Ethan walked into the kitchen, already dressed in his pressed shirt and jacket. He set his car keys on the counter and leaned against it, watching me as I sipped my coffee. You're quiet, he said, voice low but certain. But I know that look. What's the plan, Haley? I set the cup down, my hand steady. We're not staying here, Ethan. Not another night in this house, not another moment under their roof. I'm done being their target. A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Finally. We had been saving in silence for years, working longer, hours, making sacrifices, planning. Every insult, every dismissive glance from my family only fueled me to move forward. What they didn't know was that Ethan and I had already signed papers for a townhouse across town. The keys were tucked safely in my purse. By 9. Boxes were being carried out to the truck. The sound of packing tape ripping across cardboard echoed like a war drum. Each seal felt final, irreversible. "You sure you don't want to tell them?" Ethan asked as he lifted another box. I shook my head. "They'll see soon enough." The drive to the new place was quiet, but not heavy. It was the kind of silence filled with momentum, the rush before a storm breaks. Our townhouse was simple, but ours: white siding, a front porch, a driveway that caught the morning sun. I unlocked the door, and as it swung open, the air smelled like fresh paint and freedom. I stepped inside barefoot, the hardwood cool under my feet. For the first time in years, I felt like I belonged somewhere. No eyes judging me, no voices tearing me apart. Just Ethan and me, finally in control. But Ethan wasn't satisfied with just moving. He wanted more. "Haley," he said, standing in the empty living room, his voice echoing. "We could have told them last night, could have rubbed it in their faces, but you didn't. You wanted them to think they won." I looked at him, confused. And now we make sure when they see us again, they don't just regret what they said, they choke on it. I stared at him, the words sinking in. He was right. Walking away wasn't enough. My father, my sister, my brother, they thrived on putting me beneath them. They needed to be stunned into silence, forced to see me for who I really was, not who they decided I should be. We unpacked nothing. Instead, Ethan grabbed his jacket and tossed me mine. "Come on," he said. "We've got one more stop to make." By noon, we pulled back into the long gravel driveway of my parents' house. The same folding tables from the barbecue were still out, stacked with dirty plates and empty bottles. Laughter still carried from the backyard, like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I stepped out of the car, the sound of the door slamming turning heads instantly. Madison was the first to notice, her face twisting into a sneer. "Well, look who decided to crawl back," Dad's voice followed, mocking, confident. "Haley, didn't expect you'd be brave enough to show your face this soon. What's wrong? Can't stay away from success." The others chuckled, ready for another round of jokes. But then Ethan walked around the car and dangled the new house, keys between his fingers. The metal glinted in the sunlight, sharp and undeniable. My voice cut through the laughter. "I came back to say goodbye. Not just to this house, but to the way you've treated me my whole life." The backyard fell, silent. My father's smirk faltered, just slightly, but enough for me to see the crack. Ethan slipped his arm around my waist, his tone calm but lethal. "We're done living under this roof. We're done letting you treat Haley like she's nothing. We moved into our own place this morning, and from now on, you don't get a say in her life." The words struck like lightning. Amanda's cup slipped from her hand, spilling onto the grass. Lucas blinked, his mouth opening but no sound coming out. Even Madison's smug grin froze in place, her hand tightening on the back of her chair. And my father, Gerald Carter, looked at me like he'd just seen a ghost he couldn't fight. "You're lying," he said finally, his voice low, almost desperate. I pulled the keys from Ethan's hand and tossed them onto the table. They landed with a sharp clang. "Drive by 14th Street if you think I'm lying. The house with the white porch? That's mine. That's ours. And you'll never take that away from me." Ethan took my hand, pulling me gently toward the car. My heart thundered, but my voice was steady, firm, unshakable. "Last night you called me a disappointment. Today, you're watching me walk away free. Remember that." The silence that followed was deafening. No laughter, no mocking, just the sound of their pride collapsing in on itself. We got back into the car, and as Ethan drove us down the gravel driveway, I looked back one last time. They stood at the gate. My father, my siblings, my cousins, all of them speechless. For once, I wasn't the one walking away in shame. This time, they were. The silence from the gate replayed in my mind all night. For the first time in years, I wasn't the butt of their jokes. I was the storm they never saw coming. The next morning, Ethan and I sat on our new porch, coffee in hand, watching the quiet street hum awake. The air smelled of dew and promise. He glanced at me, smirking. "You know they won't let this go, right?" I sipped slowly, my chest rising with calm determination. "Good. Let them choke on it. For once, it's their turn to explain me, not mine." It didn't take long. By noon, Madison's number flashed across my phone. Ethan raised a brow. "Answer it," he said. "Let's hear the damage." I pressed speaker. Madison's voice burst through, sharp and frantic. "Haley, what was yesterday? Some kind of joke? You really think moving into a small townhouse makes you a success? Everyone's still laughing at you." I smiled, though she couldn't see it. "If they're still laughing, Madison, why did you call me first thing in the morning?" Her silence said more than her words ever could. I ended the call. By afternoon, another surprise came. My father's truck pulled up outside our new place, gravel crunching beneath his tires. Ethan tensed, but I stood. "Let me handle him." "Gerald." Carter climbed out, his face set in a scowl. He looked around at the porch, the painted shutters, the flowers I had planted in neat rows. He hated it, not because it was small, but because it was mine. "You think you've proven something?" he barked. "You think buying a house makes you better than the rest of us? You'll regret this. Don't come running back when you fail." I walked down the steps, stopping just a foot from him. My voice was steady, sharper than I thought possible. "No, Dad. I'm not proving anything to you. I'm proving it to myself. And that's the difference. You live for other people's applause. I don't need it anymore." His jaw twitched. He wanted to speak, but no words came. For the first time, Gerald Carter had no weapon to throw at me. Ethan stepped forward, his presence firm. "You should go," he said coldly. "This isn't your house. Not anymore." Dad's eyes flicked between us, and for a second I saw it. The panic of a man losing control. He turned back toward his truck, muttering under his breath, but I caught it anyway. "She'll never last." The engine roared, and just like that, he was gone. I stood frozen on the driveway, the cool air brushing my skin. Ethan slipped his hand into mine. "You stood your ground," he said softly. "That's bigger than any house." I nodded, but deep inside, I knew this was just the start. My family would keep trying to pull me back down, to remind me of the role they'd written for me. But the role was gone. That night, as I unpacked boxes in our bedroom, Ethan pulled me close, his voice low and certain. "They'll test you again. They'll throw every insult, every trick they've got. But you're not the same Haley anymore." I looked at him, tears stinging but not falling. "No," I whispered. "I'm not." And they're about to learn that the hard way. For the first time, I wasn't bracing for their cruelty. I was ready for it. Because now, I had something they could never take from me, my own life. The following weekend, another family gathering took place, this time at Madison's polished home with her pristine lawn and oversized driveway. Invitations had gone out to everyone, except me. I wasn't surprised. But Ethan looked up from his phone, a smile playing at his lips. "Guess who just sent out pictures of their perfect family brunch?" he said, turning the screen to me. There they were, Madison, Lucas, Amanda, my father, posing like a magazine cover, all smiles, all pride. The caption read, "Carter. Family, where success runs deep." The sting was sharp, but instead of breaking me, it lit fire in my veins. "Let's go," I said. Ethan tilted his head. "Are you sure?" I nodded. "They think cutting me out keeps me small. Let's show them the truth." By noon, our car rolled up their driveway. Heads turned immediately. Conversations stopped. My sister nearly dropped her glass of champagne. "What are you doing here?" Madison demanded, her voice sharp enough to cut. I stepped out calmly, Ethan by my side, our car gleaming behind us. I didn't need an invitation to claim my place in the family. Dad stormed over, his voice low but venomous. "You don't belong here, Haley. Leave before you embarrass yourself again." But I didn't flinch. Instead, I pulled out a small folder from my bag and laid it on the patio table. Curious faces leaned closer. "These," I said evenly, "are the papers for my new home. Paid, signed, ours. Ethan and I built a life without any of you. And guess what? We didn't need your help, your approval, or your permission." The air went silent. Amanda's fake smile faltered. Lucas shifted uncomfortably. Madison's hand trembled against her wine glass. Ethan added quietly, his tone razor-sharp. "You should see it. Bigger than this house, built on our own hard work, not Daddy's handouts." Madison's jaw dropped. My father's face reddened. He opened his mouth, ready to spit fire, but I cut him off. "Last week you all laughed at me. You called me a failure, a disappointment. But today, you can't even look me in the eye without choking on your pride. That's the difference between you and me. I don't need to tear anyone down to feel tall." The silence pressed heavier than words. Their pride was cracking, splintering in real time. I turned to leave, but paused at the gate. "Enjoy your brunch," I said softly. "You'll need it, because the next time people ask about me, you'll have to admit the truth. I didn't fail. I walked away from you, and I'm better for it." Ethan and I walked back to the car, every eye glued to us. For the first time, I wasn't invisible, I wasn't weak. I was the one in control. As the engine roared to life, I glanced in the rearview mirror. My family stood frozen on the patio, stunned into silence, exactly where I had once been, but not anymore. This time, I was the one driving away, and they were the ones left standing in shame.